Hello, Sonia Davis. Hello. Give me 1 minute. What's good? What's good? What's good? Can y'all hear me? I ain't gonna keep y'all long. What's up, Sonia Davis? Hey, Marietta Jones. Hey, Elvira. Hey, Warrior. Let me drop this link real quick because, you know what I mean, just in case somebody have to say something. I'm gonna drop this link and then I'm gonna get up out of here. Hey, Shouting. Hey, Open Minded, aka Fresh. Let me pin this up here, and then I am going to get on up out of here. Because I'm sleepy. So I know you guys know what a rhetorical question is, right? I know you guys know. Oh Lord, that's me getting my own feedback. I know you guys know are familiar when I write something, how I write something, and again, you know what a rhetorical question is. Now, if you don't know what a rhetorical question is, and I've said this so many times, I can't order no one, and I suggested it. Like, if you're not reading above a first grade level, and that's really low on the grand scheme of things, a first grade level, like, my God, if your understanding isn't above a first grade level, then you shouldn't be over here reading shit. All right. You need to go where the people, where you can understand and thereby not leave me dumb questions. Okay. I'm not, I don't get paid over here to teach a motherfucking thing. Okay. And that's not what I'm doing. We're talking about the case. Maybe on an accelerated manner, maybe, you know, however. Okay, that's what we do. And I asked several times because I have to go beyond. I can't beat the same bush over and over again. So I am going to read what a rhetorical question is. Okay, all right. Now, most people are not going to be, not most people. I ain't gonna say most people. Yeah, no. Most people do know what a rhetorical question is. Let me not be let me not, like, think that everybody is, on the slow bus after the slow bus, okay, on the slower bus, okay. But a rhetorical question is a question asked in order to create a dramatic effect or to make a point rather than to get an answer. That is what my posting on my board was about. See, this is so easy. And people like to, cry and moan and shit whenever you call them slow, dumb, stupid, and whatever, right? But you prove it, all right? You should never come fucking with me in the arena of academics. Matter of fact, most of us on here when it comes to academics, if you're still saying the words like looked it and all that bullshit and adding extra syllables and all that bullshit, and when you have to go beyond your scope of your knowledge to try to act like you understand or that you're just as smart as someone else, you need to sit your motherfucking ass down and step off my board. Don't read it. Don't respond to it. Just move on. Because it's going to only confuse you, especially when you're trying to explain it. You're not going to understand it because you don't understand that there's no such word as looked it. It's not a word. Internet is not a word. None of that. It's not a word. Sometimes we might get lazy about the tongue and say that, but over and over and over and over again, no, we don't do that. If you're saying it over and over and over again, that's just how you pronounce it. Fishes and shit like that, we don't say that. You know what? Let me tell you something. Told people, wasn't being funny, but you slow us down and you confuse people when you try to articulate and distribute what the fuck we're talking about over here when you don't even know what the fuck you talking about wherever you at. You don't know what the fuck you reading or none of that. You need to stick to reading the yellow, the blue, and the orange books that we used to read in kindergarten. Read that aloud. Because you're only going to make yourself look stupid. Now, how many people knew that this was a rhetorical question? Hold on, let me see what I put on my board. This is really embarrassing, okay? We're having reading and English motherfucking lessons and shit 4 in the morning with a group of goddamn grown-ups. This is fucking crazy. Okay, that's the definition of a rhetorical question. So when I put my question up here, those of you that can read and understand will figure out that this is a rhetorical question. So I'm not sure. And the people that got it, they got it. And the people that didn't, when they left me a message, they didn't. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. But this is not what I do. Ain't my fault. I keep telling you. And I'm not talking about nobody's parents, but it started there. Talk to them about it. The level of understanding and stuff. Well, I don't know why they didn't get you no extra tutoring. I don't know. Don't ask me. And I have no idea why, I just don't get it. But we're gonna look at it as we do all things. I have no problem with that. Again, I don't know how many comments I get about how much patience I have. I have to have that type of patience. But I ain't got to have this type of patience for this bullshit. This I don't. Because I don't get paid now one goddamn dime for this. So here's the question. I said, and anybody familiar with my lives, and anybody familiar with the conversations we've had over and over and over again, knows. I said, for those that said the judge was biased and shouldn't have granted certain rulings or should have granted certain rulings, please tell me why didn't J-Bo include any of that in her argument to the appeals court? And I said she didn't because the FRE and FRAP supported her rulings and judgment. Okay? Now, and I didn't have to fully explain or express what I was talking about because we just had a live about this. Okay? What I was saying is if, and I told you the things that you argue on appeals, right? Issues with the law, issues with fact, and issues with regards to the judge. And what did I call those? Issues with judicial discretion, right? Bias, things of that nature. I was simply piggybacking off of what Sky said, that morning, but yesterday morning about the judge bias and stuff like that, what Levi has said and all of that. All right. J Bo could have argued that in her argument, either in the limited time she had, or she could have asked for leave, which she would ask for leave for her to extend her brief. Okay. She asked for leave for an additional day. She could have asked for leave to add additional words. She has done it before. And any idiot thinks that Judge Ann Donnelly is limiting this. That just proves my case. Stay the fuck off my goddamn board and off my channel. You do not belong here as far as questioning and answering because you don't get it. You don't get it. It was a rhetorical question. I answered it because it was a rhetorical question. It wasn't to be answered like to somebody to give me an answer. Duh. I wasn't expecting an answer. Duh. I just cannot believe this. We are receiving AARP literature. And motherfuckers can't even understand what a rhetorical question is. And all the time, I end up making my point, thereby always winning these stupid ass battles and shit because people make their own self look stupid. Anybody that thinks that FRE and FRAP are people, stay off my shit. FRE, I just told y'all, Federal Rules of Evidence. FRAP, Federal Rules of Appeals Process. FRCP, Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. Like, what the fuck am I? I asked a rhetorical question. It wasn't a statement. And I didn't say anything about nobody disagreeing. The person who responded, which was probably some idiot that don't, well, I ain't gonna go there. Saying, I know when someone is leaving me a response as leaving me a genuine response or whatever, because if they had knew what they were talking about, they knew that she could have included it in her brief. I was asking a question because we always talk about the judge, well, not always, but they always bring up the judge's bias and the judge did this and the judge did this and the judge did that. You can bring that up on an appeal. You don't have to believe me. Go look at it. Find it somewhere. I don't know where to tell you to find it at, but find it somewhere. I don't have to look it up. That's what I'm saying. Stay your ass from over here. Out my motherfucking bushes or any of that. You're only going to confuse the people. It is not my fault. I promise you it's not. I wasn't there with you in grade school. I wasn't there. And I can talk about this on the level I'm talking about it as on because you should know it. This ain't law. It's a rhetorical question. Who don't know what the fuck that is? Oh, probably somebody that says looked it. I didn't say every single argument can fit. If she asks for leave to file for an additional day, she can ask for leave to make her brief more lengthy. She has done it several times. It is a common practice. That's why they came up with the whole procedure of asking for leave, because you're going to ask to do something that's outside of the norms. You need an additional day. You need to add 2 or 3 more pages. You need to do this. You need to do that. And anybody that thinks that Judge Ann Donnelly limited the motherfucker needs to stay from over here. You make yourself look stupid. I done went over, I don't know how many times, the things that can be argued in an appeal. In an appeal, you think now I won't in the people that the regulars over here. Okay, because I can't, I cannot. I am not. No, nope. The regulars over here. We have talked about 3 main reasons why an appeal can be filed. Right, the things that they talk about. And judicial bias and how can I explain shit that the judge has done wrong, right? That is a big no, a big constitutional violation, straight up. And a lawyer I know that's not gonna put that in a goddamn brief. Ain't no limited to no. You got, okay, this is important, but since we limited to how many words, we gonna leave that off. No, that ain't how it works. Right. Like SpongeBob. This is a losing battle. This is a losing battle. I have fought a losing battle. Like what? Like, I mean, it's a rhetorical question. That's all it was. And of course, an idiot would answer it. Like what? Like, I mean, y'all don't have conversations with because even your child who has gone to school, who has made it beyond the 7th grade, know what a rhetorical question is. I'm gonna ask it, and I'm probably gonna answer it because I'm not soliciting an answer from you, huh? I can't. Oh, just stay from off my board. Don't listen to my life. Just do something else. Shit. Hell. I mean, and don't listen to my fake ass anyway. All of it's wrong. Don't worry about it. All of it's wrong. It don't make no sense. Whatever. Go do something else. Go listen to somebody else. Damn. Like, right. SpongeBob said Bonji won't make arguments she knows aren't allowed by the federal rules. That's why I said in my posting FRE, but they think that some people thought that FRE and FRAP were people. Just stay away. Stay away. Make yourself look stupid. Just don't post. Like go ahead on. Just take for granted. Just take it for granted that I might know what I'm talking about. We have went over this. You got issues with the facts in the case, issues with how the law was applied, and issues with the judge being biased, doing this, doing that, or whatever. I was just really speaking to the claims that Skylife has made. They always say that Judge Ann Donnelly was biased. She did this. She didn't allow this. She did this and whatever. When the truth is, the judge has to admit evidence that's admissible, and she can't allow evidence that's inadmissible. That's in the rules. That's in the rules. I mean, it's just in the rules. And if she does that, and with me and Skylife, they were saying that they should have allowed evidence and whatever. If that was the case, then J-Bo would have made that argument. That's all I'm saying. I don't visit pages that talk about Chinese arithmetic because I don't know it. I don't understand it. I'm not going to answer no questions about Chinese arithmetic. I'm not going to understand none of that. So I stay away from that. I don't go on pages that talk about making uh um uh, uh, chocolate covered pretzels and making a chocolate from scratch, or whatever, however they get the chocolate. I don't go over there because I don't understand it. I won't leave no comment or nothing. I'll be like, that's interesting, and I get the fuck on. That's why I said that a while ago. Because it slows down the process and the progress that we're trying to make, Lord. With everybody having the same understanding, whatever. And as always, you go figure it out yourself. You have to take my word for it. Like, I don't know. Like, where am I? But when I have to stop and explain what a rhetorical question is, I cannot. When I have to tell you that exactly how many syllables are in certain words, that's not, no, that's not what I should be doing. Like, Jesus. And that is not nobody trying to be smart or whatever. This is third and fifth grade shit. Are you kidding me? Just don't read it. Just don't read it. Shit. Just wait for it to happen when it happens. This don't read shit from over here. I don't get it. We got to sit up here and discuss what a fucking rhetorical question is. Huh? oh, oh, oh my gosh. Like, I can't win for losing. Like, what the fuck? That's why I asked it and answered it. Like, because I wasn't expecting an answer. I'm just saying, she didn't do that. I was thinking about the live from this morning, and I was like, let me put this on here. Why I'm thinking at work. That's all. Like, gonna get mad at me. I'm not so smart. No. I just know what I'm supposed to know. It's either you might have to look at it like this. You might be a little dumber than what you know. I mean, it is what it is. Ain't my fault. My God. Hello, Hunty.
Now you know I'm right now. I heard you talk about some sky something. Sky is right.
You don't even know what it is, girl. You don't even know what it is, honey. You know, you know how you was talking.
I said, she said sky something, but I know I'm right. Whatever I said. What's going on?
Girl, hon, I had just an answer. I was thinking about you. Would you know how you be saying the judge ain't down bias and the judge did this
He
and that.
is biased.
And girl, I was just simply, hon, I ain't mean no harm, girl. But baby, when you throw up something that's outside these people educational will, honey, you get answers and I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Well, you
I
know what?
said,
This is the thing. People are mad because one, they jealous, okay? We just gonna have to let them be that. But two, because we want to know what's going on with the case. And while they think they got to figure it out, they don't. Okay? Because I already know I'm smarter than most. Okay? And if I ain't figured out this legal side of this shit, because the psychological, logical, common sense side got that. But this legal side, I promise you they don't know it like they think they do, and won't come step into the arena and do what I'm doing day after day after day after day. Okay?
but well, hold on, but perspective. It's not about agreeing and disagreeing with my analysis. I don't think you understood the question. Again, here we go again. Three things. SpongeBob, can you put it in the chat? I can't. Maybe you listen to the white man. I can't. SpongeBob, put it in the chat. When it comes to the federal rules of appeals, what are
I want
some
you.
of
Can you
the
email me those
categories
too?
that you can argue? You can argue issues with the facts, issues with the law, and if that judge had any type of judicial bias and judicial errors that are egregious and things of that nature. One being biased, not allowing evidence that is admissible in, and all of that. Doing all of that, that is errors on the judge. Appeals are about errors. I'm not going over that no goddamn more. But that's what it is. So you can argue those points if they're there. Okay? That and for if you're saying that the judge erred in a way that it was egregious, it caused the trial, it caused it caused you to get a guilty verdict. It prejudiced your client in any kind of way. That's a constitutional violation. Who ain't gonna argue that? It just don't work that way. Like, and so, yeah. So when she prepared her brief, she went through it. This is her appeal. Now, hold on. This is her appeal. And she filed leave to get another day. You can also file leave to add more to it. You got some more shit that you feel, and she has done it before. She has filed leave to lengthen her argument. Okay? She's done that several times. She doesn't have to. Okay, because here's the thing, right? The case has already been deliberated, right? If it was such a constraint with regards to the words, she could have just easily taken some from going over, the what happened in the trial and all of that. She could have shortened that in order to add her points, with regards to constitutional violation. with regards to what the judge did. She could have done that if that was such a big deal. No, you simply ask for leave to add additional pages or whatever and roll on out the goddamn door. You don't leave something, and when it comes to the judge fucking up, bias and stuff like that, huh? You gonna go with that now? And I mean, they're suggesting that she had to pick and choose from what she could argue. Like, where am I? Like, where am I? I don't know. It does not work that way. You don't have to pick and choose what you're going to argue. If it's an error, it's an error. And if it's an error that can be brought up legally, then that's what she's going to do. SpongeBob just said it in here based on the federal rules that she can argue. She's not going to argue something that she can't argue. If it wasn't there, and my whole point was there was no judicial bias, so that's why it wasn't argued.
Let me
Didn't make
ask a question real quick. Am I interrupting your flow?
no go girl, go ahead.
I got,
I
we're
give
going
up.
now.
I
The
don't get it.
things. Okay, two things, and then I'm hop off because I'm in motion anyway. Okay, so if okay, you said the rules of evidence, the rules of some and some. Is that written in legalese, or is that something that if I send you an email, you can email me back and I can read and comprehend it?
I'm sorry, what you said about emailing you?
You said the three things you want us to learn. You said FRE, the FIC, and something else. I'm
I
saying,
said the
is that written in
FRE.
legalese or plain English where I can understand?
That's plain English. Federal rules of evidence, federal rules of criminal procedure, federal rules of appeal process. Right.
I'm
Those
saying,
are the
so are you able to
yeah.
email me that where I can
No,
read it?
honey, that's no, that's a whole situation. No, I can't email you that.
Oh, it's
I'm
not.
just saying, yeah, it's when I put up when I showed y'all, the little just a little bit of 401, 402, and 403. That's federal, rules of evidence. So, and I just showed y'all, how it's admissible, the criteria for it being admissible, and then it just goes on or whatever. And I think the next one after that was when it has something to do with character witness. But this, what SpongeBob has put up, this is what I have said to you guys since we've been talking about appeals, and just about every time we talk about appeals. Questions of the law, and also known as issues of the law, questions of fact, it's also issues of fact, and matters of procedure discretion, meaning the judge, are the three grounds for appeals. The third ground would include bias, judicial bias.
Okay, you saying she didn't cite that in the appeal?
Right. Remember,
Judicial.
y'all, we was up here the last live, and you know how you and Levi's always say the judge was biased and this,
I
that, and the
still
third,
feel like
whatever.
she is, but a lot of that is my personal opinion, and not necessarily, because
And
I don't have the
just
legal
off your
knowledge. But
personal opinion, right?
yeah,
I just made a rhetorical question, like, and I was really talking to the people who come over here and make that claim about the judge because um I
well,
mean,
let
I
me
can
just say
always
this.
tell y'all that the judge wasn't biased. I said she had to allow the things she had to allow just based on the rules of evidence. And the things that was inadmissible, she couldn't allow that. It wasn't no, it wasn't showing no favoritism to one side or the other. It's just what it was, when we were talking about the evidence and things of that nature. Now
Yeah,
maybe you listen to the white man. The white
well,
man
no,
has come on through.
no, because I still disagree. See, because this is the thing, and when I say personal, I'm going by probability. Okay, so a lot of this stuff is logical. So when I look at the probability and I look at damn near 90, if not 100% of the motions was denied, it was 98. And so you are, so when I look at it like that, I'm like, now how is it all of this going the other way? So I mean, when you look at it probability wise, it's like, well, this lady is leaning.
But I've always told y'all there is no percentage of motions that she has to grant.
That's
There's
true. That's
no
true.
percentage.
That's true. That's true.
Just like when the people say, but they kept calling sidebars all the time. Oh my gosh, they don't have a limit that they can't go beyond. You can't do more than three sidebars in a trial. They
No,
don't
we
have
know that.
that.
It's just
But
like,
no, there's people that say that. They
yeah,
use that as an argument. And I'll be like, huh? Like,
no,
where am I?
yeah, they know,
I
yeah,
was like, because as some things I understand that it's legal, and then it takes a legal mind to know. But then you have some things that it's legal, but it's like common sense when if you think about it real good. You know, like just say with when it comes to a bond, you know, there are crimes that qualifies for no bond, right? And it's always up to the judge's discretion, right? There are some crimes that qualifies with no bond, but some people think that every crime, I mean, they think that not every crime, think that you should get a bond. That's just a right. No, that's not always a right with some crimes. That's just it's not how it is.
yeah. I understand what you're saying. I get it. My last question is this, and then I'm gonna come back.
No, she did not have to hold on for a minute. She did not have to prioritize. She did not have to prioritize. Those were the three grounds on which appeals can be argued. I don't went over this a million times.
Well, I
If you
know.
could, I not if you, I'm not talking right now. If you type in appeals in my search bar for my videos, I went over this a million times in a million different ways. So it's not about prioritizing. You got to leave some out. That's doing a disservice to your client. I mean, if just say if she filed leave and it was denied, and they said no, you got to put whatever you got to put in that brief within how many words, then it will be up to her to readjust that brief for it to include all the all matters that she wants to argue. And it's difficult because I have to speak in plain layman's language, and that ain't even coming across. So I don't know and when I do it without doing that, then the people be looking at what you just said. So listen, this is a losing battle. Go ahead. But there's always an opportunity to make people look stupid. Like, what are you talking about? Where you at, Sky?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you was talking to me. Okay. My last question is this: when the and we're not in the appeal now. We in the real litigation of the case. When the defense is in court, do they have to pick a defense that they are going to basically run, or can they just freestyle and do multiple things?
Either or.
Okay, so you could come in there saying I'm a go for an extortion plan, but midstream you find out that some other stuff has been revealed, so you could pull another defense in progress. Correct?
Okay, I got to be careful with you and with that because here we go. Here we go. I got to be careful. Okay.
I feel like, okay, so do you have to say, our so they got the charges? Okay, this is what we charging Kels with. Does the defense have to come back and say, okay, our legal defense is gonna be this, and this is
They
what
don't
we
have to
do?
announce their legal defense. They don't have to announce their legal defense. It's like everybody in that court is legally astute, right? The prosecutor is going to be able to look in the discovery and kind of kind of have a good idea where you're going with your defense. Okay. And then you're going to be putting in a motion in limine to try to get the stuff in and all that type of stuff. So they're gonna know. Like, okay, just like when we did that exercise, women perspective, when we did that exercise and I came up with that defense, I don't have the I don't have the records, I didn't have the file, I didn't have anything like that. But I would just knowing that I had to come up with something that is going to one answer that evidence that they have and what would be the best. So I came up with an exculpatory defense. He came up with an exculpatory defense too. So I mean that's just how it works. What, go ahead, perspective.
Okay. Okay. So from my reading of your comment, I seen exactly what you said. This is, I can actually go and look at it because you said, okay, for everybody who thought this was what it was, and you thought that this was going to be the issues of appeal. Why do you think that Jennifer didn't do it? She didn't do it because it wasn't part of the federal rules of appellate procedures, and it wasn't part of this. So I didn't come to answer your question per se. I came to say, but what if she did not do it because of the fact that she didn't have enough room in her wording? And now I understand that you're saying that, okay, she should have limited her wording in her other areas in order to fit that in if it was an argument. But do you see where I'm coming from now?
Yeah, I saw what you where you was coming from when you responded, but the my question I guess was taken. I don't know how it was taken. It was pretty much a rhetorical question, just based off the feelings that Sky has conveyed and Levi has conveyed, whatever, about the judge's bias. What I was simply trying to say is, do you know why she didn't um make that argument? Okay, what make that argument with regards to the judge? And I was talking to the people that said that the judge was biased, that the judge should have allowed this, that she shouldn't have allowed that, and whatever. Which is what that means is when they say that that means that the judge did something egregious. The judge was, biased. She didn't, she hampered his case, on purpose. She was, I'm just using the word racist. I'm just throwing that in. I ain't saying she was, I ain't saying nobody said that, but she was
I still
racist.
think that she does. She was just like Sky does. I just think that every battle is not a winning battle, and throwing those things at the wall is not going to win the case. So she had to go with what was best for the fight. That's my opinion.
Well, if she felt that the judge was that way, she would have simply made that argument. Attorneys make that argument all the time, and it is a fair and legal argument that you could make if you can support it, if you have it backed up by the federal rules.
But didn't she challenge some of what the judge had did in the appeal process?
That was under the issues with the facts or the issues with the law. I forgot which one it was. So
Okay.
remember, I always say it's three: issue of fact, law, and judicial discretion.
Okay.
Those
And
are
then,
your reason, your grounds for appeal.
See,
okay.
and I also base this opinion that I have off the fact that I follow her on Twitter and on Instagram. So when she was making her initial post, she was saying a judge will never, go back and admit that she was wrong. A judge will not, she knew very well from the beginning that the judge wasn't going to grant any of her motions. She knew that she had to go to the circuit courts. So my opinions are based on, she knows which fights to prioritize to get the win that she needs to get.
Well, there's no such thing as prioritizing the her arguments. You first of all, and your appeal isn't going to Judge Donnelly. Your appeal is going to a bench of some a higher court. So
Yeah,
a bench of
I
three. So
understand.
it's not going. It just won't go back to the trial court until till they file a writ of habeas corpus, a 2255. So it won't even go there. You can make you're not going to an attorney is not going to say, "Well, I got to throw out this argument to make." No, they will simply reword if they're not granted the extra words to be able to file, file their brief with extra words. Then they'll just simply go back and reword some of those areas that she had, especially just say when she was when I think when she she
She did ask for extra words in this briefing. She got 600 additional words.
right. So I mean, I didn't even know that. So that's what I'm saying. If she needed to put extra words, she would have asked for leave to use extra words. It's not about prioritizing which one, this is more important or whatever. This is his appeal. So
So now I
she's
have
going
to
to
like I want to explain what I'm saying by prioritize. Okay.
uh-huh.
Because I'm not necessarily saying this fight before this fight before this fight. I'm saying, for instance, maybe she didn't feel that she could win that on those grounds. So she prioritized the other situations. But I guess I see what you're saying. She could have just threw it all out there.
Yeah, what I'm saying is if you have to have a legal argument. Okay, that's the whole purpose. You can't just say, all right, the judge is biased. Like people were feeling, well, the judge is biased, the judge didn't do this, the judge did this, whatever. To and the judge was was on the prosecution side the whole time, whatever. What I was trying to simply illustrate is that you have to have the legal argument. It has to be a plain. Not I don't want to use that word because there is something called a plain error. I don't want to use that word, but the error has to be there in order for you to argue it. It had to have happened. Just because they didn't win all the motions, the percentage of motions they should have won, or the judge didn't allow the parents in, or this and that does not mean that she shows bias. Okay, that just meant that based on the FRE, for the rules of evidence, that hey, that evidence with regards to the parents wasn't admissible. The evidence was with regards to whatever that was admissible, whatever. She has, if the evidence is admissible, they have to admit. She has to admit it. The evidence is inadmissible. They can't allow it. That goes for any judge.
So
Now,
I'm gonna
when the
go
judge,
read up on FRE just so I can have a better understanding because I, in Jennifer's motions, she put in the text messages that weren't allowed in order to be able to fight this on appeal. So I'm trying to
where she
figure.
put that at? Because people are saying, somebody said something about the I don't mean to cut you off. Said something about the text messages was mentioned somewhere in the motion. What
It
text
was in the
message?
Rule 29. Was it in the 29 or the 33? It was in one of those. She put about probably, I would say, five. She handpicked five of them so that she can then use them in this appeal. And so,
Are you talking about when she? I'm sorry, when she attached her post conviction motions that she had already done.
yeah, they were post conviction. No, yes, they were post conviction motions. That's where she snuck the text in because the texts weren't allowed in during trial. So
Okay,
then
okay,
she came back and basically said this should have been allowed because this is what this parent said. This is what, the enticement, the coercion, all that matters because
okay,
this mama did it this way.
okay.
So
I don't know if I should explain this or not. Okay, what she did when y'all saw the appendix coming in and all of that, those were that was the record. Okay, that was the motions, the some of the motions that were already ruled upon, right? Which means it was part of the record. Okay, so she attached, and those were the things that she was making arguments with regards to, and if she included her Rule 29 and her Rule 33, which was where she had argued that some of the evidence was insufficient. She argued about the jurors. She argued these are things that she had already had a ruling on. So it was a part of the record. It wasn't to bring in the text messages. Those text messages she had already spoke about.
But the
Um,
judge had, uh, during trial, the judge said that the text messages could not come in, but Jennifer put them in the motion, and that is how it's being brought up now for appeal. Like the texts were not allowed to be used during trial
okay.
because the judge had already ruled on it. So to me, that already speaks to the fact that she feels like the judge did some incorrect ruling. But I see what SpongeBob said, and I mean, I understand. There's certain
No, that's not
arguments.
right about the text messages. That's she didn't put them. She's not putting them in. Okay, how can I explain this? Okay, the text messages, she brought those text messages up on her post conviction motion, right? She brought those text messages up to show that her defendant did not induce, entice, persuade, and coerce um, Jane Doe number 5 to travel across state lines, and then subsequently getting the being exposed to herpes and infecting interstate and affecting interstate commerce and all of those
And to also show
elements.
that he
Okay,
never knew her
all,
age.
all of that. So J-Bo, all she did was just added her just added her Rule 29 and 33 um motion. It's not that motion is not going to talk about those text messages that just came out. That it's not going to do that. She
No, it
added
did. It
those.
did. Angie, that's what I'm saying. 5 of those text messages were handpicked out and put into that motion.
Yeah, for the purpose of trying to prove that her client did not entice him. That's what that was for. That was a post conviction motion. She didn't just put that in just to talk about the text messages. She put that in, that Rule 29 and Rule 33. She put that in because it is a part of the record. Because a motion is an objection. Okay, so it was objected to. They preserved the record. There, if it's a motion, if it's a in court ruling or anything like that, you have to there are steps to preserve those records for an appeal. It's not just to she put them in just to talk about them. She put them in. She put the whole Rule 29 in and 33 in because it is a part of the record. Okay,
Can I ask
on
a question then?
go
So
ahead.
had she not brought it up in those motions and she just went straight to appeal because they were on record of the trial, but they were never brought up during trial, could she have done that? Because they were never brought up because the judge ruled that they could not be brought up.
They could not be brought up with regards to the extortion. Right.
They couldn't be brought up because the judge specifically said that the parents could not give consent,
Consent. Right.
and so they were inadmissible, or if that's the right word. So the text could not be brought up during trial, even though Farinella argued that they should be because he was trying to prove a point. um so with them not being used during trial, if she did not put them in the motions, could they be brought up on appeal? That's my question.
No, because that was evidence that was known during the trial. Well, that's hypothetically. It would have been evidence that was known during the trial, but it wasn't used. And for that type of new evidence, an appeal wouldn't have ever, you know, considered that.
So
but
she
she
did have to put it into the motions. And by pointing that out, she is saying that the judge made a mishap in her decision by not allowing this information to be added.
know what she's arguing, what she's just, that's just a part of her record, her brief. Okay, whatever she put in her brief, that is what she's going to argue. So just say if she didn't put, if she, you didn't see anything in bold type that said in the index part of it, in the beginning of her brief, in the beginning of her brief, she outlined everything that she was going to argue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when she added the her post conviction motions, her 29 and her 33. She just added that just because it's a part of the record, and a part of that record was those text, those, you know, those excerpts from those text messages that she had, or used to try to say that he did not induce, entice, coercion, what have you. And then when the prosecutors came back, they said, say you are, it's you're, whatever they said with regards to them being wrong as far as the what she's trying to prove. They're trying to say that she's
They
trying
really didn't
to
address the fact. Yeah, they
yeah.
really didn't address the fact that she added that stuff. They kind of just summarized the case by saying this is what he did, this is what he did, this is what he did. But they didn't address what
Right,
she.
because she, yeah, because it had nothing to do. They're saying that they needed to just prove that he got exposed. She got exposed to herpes. She went across state lines and what have you.
But now
They
we
kind of,
see that
yeah.
they actually did have something to do because this proves that he did not entice her. She, in fact, was enticed by her mom. He didn't coerce her. She's, I mean, this.
Well,
Oh,
that is okay. Here's the thing, Lord. Okay, here's the thing. When it comes to that, okay, when it comes to
I
that,
think that this is conversations that you've already had, but I haven't
yes,
been on
yes,
here.
I have, and it is Lord have mercy with that,
Well, let
damn
me say something real
scribe
quick.
and
Let,
Levi.
let me
Jesus Christ,
let me say something.
honey.
I might be able to help a little bit. Okay, so
Yeah.
when you get the charge of the sexual exploitation of minors, I'm sorry, sexual exploitation. To my understanding, Andrew explained to us that once you get that, they're going to automatically attach the charge that you induce, entice, and coerce that minor. So that's kind of
No,
like
they're
a
not going to automatically do that. What they say is that if you, by you being the adult, and this is on Nicole's website too. Okay, this is just in the language of the law.
okay,
Is that you're supposed to know that you are dealing. You should have a reasonable knowledge that you're dealing with a minor. Okay, so whether they can't. So they're saying that a minor can't induce an adult. A minor can and their parents can't consent for a minor to inducing an adult to either have sex with, to flirt with, or what have you. So they're saying, I mean, and when I teach it, I call it an illegal defense. I find that from class to class, they understand that better because they're thinking, okay, well, you can't have that type of defense because the law already precludes you from doing that. The law already says that, you know,
And that's a state to state thing because California law says you can have the defensive age.
you can have a
If you
defensive
have
what? Because
defensive age, if you have a reasonable, how do I say it? If you, well, like in this case, if you were manipulated into
uh-huh.
believing that they were of age, there's a defense of age law that will
Right.
essentially get you. So
You're
it's
right.
state by state.
Go
If
ahead.
I'm not mistaken, Chicago has it too, but because they did this in New York and or Chicago, they don't have that law.
Here's the thing, right? That is a defense, right? Mistake of fact, mistake of age, right? That's a defense. He tried to get get the judge to allow that defense, and the evidence that came with it, and
Especially
the judge said,
considering they were using California laws as far as the health thing and everything else. So could they have brought that law there too?
They use
Well, here's
got
well,
denied motion. They
huh?
used the mistake of fact, but it got denied.
Hmm.
Right.
Send it that. They
And
tried.
here's the thing, right? But mistake of fact, that is a an exculpatory defense, so that mitigates his liability. Now, here's the thing, right? This is where it kind of, if you can listen to me, it's kind of tricky. But I'll explain it in a way where it'll be understandable. All right. So if you got exculpatory defenses, right, which mainly supposed to mitigate someone's criminal liability, meaning that it explains why you're guilty. So a jury may look at it and say, well, he isn't as guilty as someone just blatantly going out. There was a reason that got this person into this type of situation. It could be an entrapment. It could be, you know, insanity. It could be a host of reasons why this person is, guilty. So we're going to seek to mitigate his guilt. But one benefit that can come out of that is you may have a jury that may say, hey, they may um, look at that as well, more on the line of increasing reasonable doubt. They may find a person innocent because they may think, with just logically, hey, this person wouldn't may have not been, guilty had they have known that this person was underage. They might have chosen not to deal with that person. They, if you say that person has is insane or something like that, where that person only did it because they were crazy. So they may find reasonable doubt that can make someone not guilty. But it is those type of defenses serves to mitigate someone's criminal liability. So, but sometimes it can actually clear somebody, and a person can be found not guilty. So, you know I mean,
That's
it's just
essentially the
it's
point. Yeah.
huh.
I said that's essentially the point. We know
Yeah.
that he did it, but he was tricked into doing it. And
Right.
had she not tricked him into doing it, it would not have happened.
And the reason why I hate people being tricked into any type of crime, because you know um the law, they consider intent. With majority of these laws, there's a content, whether it's specific intent, general intent, or unintentional, right? So, and my thing is, just say I am a criminal 300 days of the year, but maybe on the day you trick me, I don't feel like being a criminal. Okay, if you don't tell me everything that if you don't tell me that this person is underage or whatever, if I don't know it, then that means that you're taking my choice for me to actually either to go forward and do it or not to. And I think that that is unfair because maybe that day I don't want to break the law.
Hmm.
And I think people make those rational decisions every day. But when you trick somebody into something like that, then you're taking away their choice. You're taking away their logic. You know, you understand what I'm saying? So I'll never
I
agree with
absolutely
nobody being
understand because I absolutely agree.
right. I'll never be down with somebody being tricked into any type of crime. That is just not, how I get down. I think that is unfair. I just think that is unfair because you are taking a lot from me because sometimes, hey, just say for instance, I've been riding with suspended license for about 3 months. Okay. And then it'd be like, that, hey, today I'm gonna go get my goddamn license. But you know what I'm saying. So not all the time. So what that tells me, and the system rehabilitation is supposed to be is one of the benefits of they supposed to consider and things of that nature So, like, all the time, I don't want to be a criminal. And I don't, I think people make those choices or whatever. But when you take it away from somebody by not telling them, because that means they can't make a choice, then I think that it's kind of fishy. That's just my opinion. The law don't agree with it, but that's just my opinion. It's kind of fishy when you take my choice away from me. You take my choice. So you like,
There's gray area because law agrees within certain states, but not in others. And I think that's something that needs to change. That's
right.
entrapment to me in itself. The fact that I can do this here, but I can't do this there.
Do you
Or
know
the fact that the state laws say this is the age, but then federal law says this is not.
right?
All of that is entrapment
Do
in
you
my
know? Yeah. Do you know how long people have been that have worked on judicial reform or what have you have talked about trying to make the laws with the state kind of agree, try make it kind of unified, because especially like when it comes to
I don't, but guess
stealing.
what I'm gonna be looking into right after this.
Yeah, because like in Georgia, you have malice murder, right? I think it's malice murder. Now, like when you be looking at the other state, they don't have that, and it's considered a whole different type of way, and it to me is just so weird. It's weird that you have certain laws in certain states, and you don't have that law in other states, and they think that we're supposed to know from going from state to state what laws you have and what laws you don't. That is absolutely crazy to me, and it needs to be uniform, or it needs to be, or some type of room for error needs to be considered there. Especially when you did get caught the first time or whatever. It's crazy to me. I don't understand why they can't unify the law. With regards to different states. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And every state that you are licensed to practice law, you got to go learn their shit. So it's weird. It's weird to me. And then when it's federal, that's a whole new different ball game. That's a whole new set of objectives that you got to learn.
It's strange to me that they were able to use the California law against him, but then when Farinella argued to be able to use the California law um to defend him, it was denied. Why is the age of defense? I mean, I just was saying it. The
Mistake of
defensive
age.
age not able to
Mhm.
be used, but then the California health law was able to be used. And that's why I say Donna Lee was biased in some of her decisions. But again, I know that's my opinion,
All right.
but what is the explanation?
You know what? Now I remember J-Bo arguing this. She's argued the whether which one was in force, which
Oh no,
one of
yeah.
those.
So she
Yeah.
argued. I'm sorry, I keep on interrupting. I'm so
No, you're
sorry.
good. You're good. Because you're
So
making me
she
feel
argued that the law that they used was repealed, whereas
right,
Farinella argued that the law did not even cover herpes in the first place.
right, right. Now that's going to be interesting on how they view that,
And the
because I
public health in New York came forward and said at trial and agreed with the defense because they said, herpes should not be included. It is not a, what was their word? And I should know this because I'm a nurse. Um,
oh wow, it's not
they said, huh?
it's not dead. It doesn't. It's something about injury. Wait a minute.
It was something about it not being a disease, it is a virus.
Yeah, it's a
I can't
virus.
think, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there is a lot with regards to that mandate. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot with that whole herpes thing, and I would be interested in knowing. I mean, are they gonna say like which one that the prosecutors should have used? And Jabo, when Jabo raised the argument this time in her brief, she made it seem as though the prosecutor, when the prosecutor was challenged on it, they gave some kind of, like some flimsy response. And I can't remember what they said initially when it came forth on that motion initially back in the trial period of it. But she gave a real good, defense at now. Well, she's now they have to prove their case, but she gave a
Yeah.
real good explanation as to why the prosecutors should have used the correct one. I don't know what difference it's going to make, but
I
apparently,
believe what their response was that it needed to be brought up in a different motion, which was, I believe, a 13,
Rule
or it
12,
should have been brought up prior to trial, like post, I mean, not prior trial motions. Is that a thing?
pre-trial motion, yeah,
Pre-trial
and the
motion.
12B, yeah,
So,
the 12B.
and that was the one that Judge Donnelly basically gave the answer to them.
Right, right. That was so
She,
funny when I
yeah,
read that
like,
one.
and then see, I don't even understand how people want to say that judge was not biased. She put in her response, if prosecutors let me know if I'm correct, wasn't this supposed to be brought up in pre-trial? Girl, you're giving them the answers.
Right. That's when I read that, and I was like, oh, I said, oh, this is good. So I get to mess around with this. And so when
So
I
they didn't even
read
need
it,
to answer. Like
yeah, when I
everything
read
that,
it,
that she brought up.
I say if I was the prosecutors, I would just politely copy and paste what she said pretty much and say, yeah, this is it. And when the prosecutors responded, that's damn near exactly what they did. Like, yeah, you're right, Judge. I like she gave y'all the answers. This right here. I mean, gave well what she did was she
See,
didn't
and that's the reason you can't remember their response is because they didn't give one because she told them they didn't have to.
tell them the answer. Right. And what she
Yeah,
did
she told them
was
they didn't have to.
yeah, she put it in a way where she didn't get say, okay, she didn't say like, well, prosecutors, this is the answer. She put it in a way and was where she left an open question that both of them could answer, but she gave the answer to the question. So of course, this was the defense's motion. If you think of, I mean, common sense know that the answer was really geared to the prosecution. She didn't say prosecution, here's the answer, but she put the answer there. She's like, well, shouldn't this been? She said, well, shouldn't it have been addressed on a pretrial motion?
She said,
She said it something like that.
let me know if
Yeah,
I'm correct," is what she
yeah.
said. Let me
Address.
know if I'm correct, but
Mhm.
shouldn't this have been in a pretrial motion?
Right, right. And then the prosecutor, oh yeah, child, yeah, girl, you right.
Now that was
I was like,
rhetorical.
I said
I'm
that
on now.
you
That shit
know
was
what?
rhetorical.
Mm, that was so funny when I saw that. I said, now you know what
But
this
you
is like
see, in saying that, Angie,
yeah.
now you not really admitting that you can see that this judge had some bias?
I can see this. I'll tell you this because I heard. Now I don't know because I didn't know. I can't remember every paper, and I definitely went to not one trial. Um, I saw where she sometimes helped the defense and she sometimes helped the prosecutor. I could I could see that. Now by
You lucky
doing
you
it, now
gave that disclaimer because that would have been my next question. Where did she help the defense?
well, she helped the defense by if I'm not mistaken, I thought when they were talking about the thing when court TV and whatever talking about certain different things in court, she, you know, guided them to, certain procedures, things, something like that, little help, help like that, in which she could do, she could do, she couldn't, help them with litigate their case, but or what defend the case, but she did help them in with some things. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. If you show that you're kind of helping both sides on some of the things that you can help them with, then when it if someone if an attorney said you show bias or whatever, and that you use that as one of the reasons, use that as an example of how you showed, then she can simply just come back and say, well, I gave that side help and I gave that side help. Sometimes what they have to point out is what when you gave the help, was it in a critical situation, right? So, like, did you just show the defense? Oh, well, that should have been just say, a Santiago pro. Not, I'm sorry, that's the wrong example. I'll use something else. If you could show the defense, well, you should have, you know, you should have objected, as to form, right, or foundation. Okay, that's something simple. Wherein you gave the help to the prosecution that was something more critical. Well, that could, why don't you um, consider using a Santiago proper? Not saying it would happen like that. You can't do that, but you see what I'm saying. It was more critical because Santiago proper. You're trying to get statements in, and you're just showing some, and you just the help you just gave the defense. You just pretty much just telling them something that's uh something your ass learned in law school, or something like that, something real simple. But you just show the prosecutor how to get those statements in, trying to go around the hearsay element of it and stuff like that. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, I mean, I didn't see where she was biased when the things when they point out with regards to the evidence and things of that nature, because I was just trying to tell them that certain evidence has to
Is it
be.
normal practice for a judge to object for one side or the other?
um yeah, they can, they can do that,
They can?
because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. If sometimes there are areas that you can't, say certain things in front of the jurors. You can't, if something that she's already ruled on, that was precluded, you trying to be slick and get it in, things of that nature, so she can't sit up there and allow it, because you may have to go back and then give the jury limited instructions or whatever. But here's the thing, I mean, just because you do that, that don't mean they didn't hear what they heard, so it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, what becomes complicated for that. I always
Yeah.
look at law and cases in a way that it's almost like this is gonna sound crazy, like the game Uno. If you don't
Mhm.
call Uno, then you miss that pass. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you at the end of the game, you
Right.
won, but you didn't call Uno. So in the case that the prosecutors did not say objection, that means it made it through. But the
Right.
judge decided to call objection and then rule on it. How you gonna call objection for the prosecution? Where they do that at?
Well, I get it. If you look at it that way, I get it. I get it. But sometimes they, have to do that, especially when it comes to
And there's no
evidence.
other way that they would do that as a judge, instead of, because she objected, if I'm not mistaken, not to the question, but to the answer. Wait, how did she do this? I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry. It's just beyond me the things that happened in this case, and then people want to act like it didn't happen. Now, I understand that. I think it's emotional on both ends, and people are working off of feelings on both ends. But I like
Mm-hmm.
to think that I'm a critical thinker in this thing, and I can see it from all the perspectives. I just feel like right is right and wrong is wrong. So yeah, if I feel like yes, he did some things that okay, I feel that way, but do I feel like he did the things that they charged him with? I do not, especially in New York. So that's where I come from. And so when I fight the fight and people from the other side want to come at me and say, "Oh, you're just a fan, you're just a this." No. No, I watched this case just like you did. I read those transcripts just like you did. And I can admit right is right and wrong is wrong. And then some people just can't do that.
I get you.
Some people just
I
can't
get
do
you.
that. They see now what Jane Doe's parents did. And yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, we're mad at the parents. But then they still want to not excuse him from that situation. Let's keep on knocking shit off the list because it wouldn't have happened had she not did what she did. And I mean, I understand law wise, you're saying that's not the law, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, just like I said, that California law should have came into play because that's the instance they used for when he had sex with her. That's when she supposedly was what, enticed, coerced, whatever, the Mann Act. So then that law should have come into play.
But you know what? We got to find out what actually happened with that ruling. It has to be because I saw where he motion for their mistake of fact or mistake of age thing, but I don't remember what the prosecution said, and I don't remember how the judge ruled on it, what she said with regards to her ruling, like why she didn't allow it or whatever.
Well, when you, because I don't have that motion, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's in a pretrial. What I was gonna say is, if you find it and you decide to speak on it on your show, please title your thing saying that's what we're talking about, so I can make sure I
Yeah,
watch that video.
I definitely will, because I mean, when I tell you, I looked for it and I looked when I was like, well, where like where is the ruling on it? And
It's
it got to be somewhere,
I
even if she
don't
did
know.
it,
It's at
huh?
the end. It's at the very end. She came in and did a whole dissertation at the end, and then she included her decision on that motion at the end. The
It was
very end.
well, now was it the ruling on her on that 29 and 33 she did that the morning of she dropped the morning of the sentencing, was it that one?
I want to say it was in there. Okay, because it was at the
'Cause
end.
I
I
It was
want
at
to say the
I
same thing
read
was
that
in
whole
there.
thing,
yep, it's at
huh?
the very end.
I want to say it was in there also, and I want to say that that other thing that I spoke to you about before, um, addressing the R. Kelly things that he's being listened to.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was in there too, but obviously she didn't bring it as an argument.
I,
So
Let me say
I
this
need
too. And
to
those
I got
people
to
who
find that
those
because, huh?
no, go ahead.
No, because she gives a pretty decent explanation why she allows things and why she don't. And I want to know where is that goddamn response. And when I tell you, I don't look and look for it, and it's not. I don't know if it's hidden amongst other stuff. But listen to this, right? Now, how is it going to be in that last in that last one that she did the morning of the sentencing, because she just responded to the 29 and 33, and that wasn't one of the questions. The
well,
mistake of
before she responded to that, she put out that whole like dissertation of why she made the choices she made in all circumstances. And that wasn't just a response. That was it's like I don't know what it's called, but it was her explanation of everything.
Oh,
Yep, that's a good way to put it. She gave an explanation of everything, and it was included in that. And I
Yeah.
want to say this: that
you hear me clicking? I'm clicking on and try to find it.
those people,
What were you saying, Sky Zone?
Skylight.
Sky Life. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine. People who are in this trial and whoever, whatever side they're on, when you see that a mistake has been made or something that might mitigate the charges for Kales, and you still refuse to act like that makes a difference in the case, that proves that that's an unscrupulous person and they lack integrity. And those are the people who I do not want to debate with anymore, because when you have that shows you have a personal agenda and it's no longer objective. We're trying
Absolutely. Say it again.
to debate with, on both sides. I understand, their point of view. But if there's something where they have a good point or something, okay, I'll concede. But some of them will never concede to anything, and that lets you know it's a personal agenda attached.
Hold on.
I don't know if I must go as far as to say I completely see their point of view because I can see the errors, so it makes it hard to necessarily see the full point
Yeah.
of view.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
if you don't like Kales and you don't want to see him free, there's nothing that's gonna make you change your mind. We could bring up a whole bunch of inconsistencies. There could be errors, even with the whole thing with the jury. I have been on here 1,000 days and 1,000 nights, keep saying that the documentary in regards to the jury should not have heard it. And then finally, boom, in the Bonjean filed in her appeal. I was correct. She agrees with me. But everybody was like, no, no, no. The jury can see that. You can't say that they can't see that and not be biased. She agrees that they were, she said salacious. She called it a salacious video. And she used another word on the level of bias that it applied. So come on. I was right. Thank
Mm.
you.
I like that she pointed out that the judge found a problem with it too, but she left it up to the defense and the prosecution, and it further pointed out the what is the word? See, I'm eating. I done lost my mind. What's it called when the damn lawyers don't do their job?
Ineffective.
Ineffective assistant counsel.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It further pointed that out because the judge herself said, "Are you sure about this?" She would have excused that juror, but she did not because she left it up to Baronella and Nicole, and they didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Because I just don't see how people can think that a regular person, you're talking about a regular human being with no legal understanding, and that would be not no legal, but no no, I'm just gonna say it, no legal understanding, is sitting there and they have seen something that has clearly affected them, mentally. So you can't say that they're going to be able to forget what they saw and what they heard and then come into a court, even if they say that they can. I mean, you just have to have some type of common sense. That's when it comes to common sense, where you have to understand that these people, that's still going to be on their mind during this trial.
The
Because
problem with it now, Skylife, is that the next judge himself said the same thing.
you saying
Um,
the next judge who?
huh?
You saying the next judge who?
Lennon Weber. I think he allowed the same thing. Like he was okay with them having seen the documentary
I
in
feel he.
Chicago.
I mean, that doesn't. This is the thing. Let's
But I
talk.
think Jennifer still did what she needed to do to exclude who she needed to exclude. So
Yeah, but let's talk politics. Okay, you have a political agenda. Okay, you got the mute R. Kelly agenda, take R. Kelly down. Meaning you're gonna have political groups, Me Too, what's the other people? Time's Up, and you're going against R. Kelly. Now you have the prosecution. Now we're going legal. You have a prosecution that is now charging this man. Okay. If you are charging him, now understand this, Andrew's going to be upset when I say it. They are going to place a judge who is in support of that agenda. Okay.
and that's
So
Donnelly.
So that is what happened. So when I also say the judge is biased, I'm looking at the whole scam. You see what I'm saying? The whole chain of events. You're not going to put a judge in there if they're not going to follow the agenda that you're trying to push. Okay. So with that being said, I feel like she allowed, same thing with Lemon Weather. I believe he was put there too. They're not going to put him there and he's a person that's going to be in support of not in support of their agenda. So I'm going to say he's biased too. But I will give him credit at the end where when he came down to his sentencing, he did give some type of reprieve in regards to rehabilitation, which is the whole point of charging somebody is for them to go into prison and then be rehabilitated and to be able to come back. He was basically letting them know that you're giving this man multiple life sentences and there's no chance of rehabilitation. So I will give him that
I
little bit.
like that. I also liked that. I feel like I think that people have preconceived notions, and that's possibly what he had. And I feel like he had to come up out of that a little bit.
Yeah, because and he also with that Bonjean, I believe she swayed him when he started talking about real human factors of mental health and sexual abuse. And I believe he had enough damn sense to understand that those are things that affect human behavior and that they need to be looked at in this case. Okay, so I'll give him. Let me give him 2 points. Okay, so I give
And
him that too.
definitely the fact that she pointed out that all these other high class, wealthy,
Yeah,
non-black people.
yeah.
Yeah.
That part. Okay, showing also the racial bias of this, and then when people point out the
But
fact like who else has
this
been
part is not the legal part of us. This is the conspiracy part of us.
yes, and I mean but to me it applies. I mean this is not
It
some
definitely applies, but everybody won't agree and everybody won't listen. But
well
they'll see.
people that think that racism doesn't exist. They think there's no point for affirmative action. They believe that everybody is fair and they're going to be fair in all instances. I mean, there's just no argument against that.
Until it comes knocking at their door.
That part.
Until they realize that this is going to affect more than R. Kelly because it sets
Yeah,
precedents.
yeah,
Because until they
yeah,
become a one man Rico or their brother, daddy, son becomes
yeah,
a one man Rico because of the allegations of bitches he
yeah.
pissed off.
Yes, absolutely, and that's the whole thing. I mean, you can't argue with stuff. I mean, it's stats, it's numbers, it's statistics that show that racial bias it's in play in all institutions. So it's like let's just stop it. But it is what it is. I don't want to, beat a dead horse. But that's why I say when you talk, this is politics, okay? The hit was put out on Kels, and they put everybody in place to make it happen. So hence that's another reason why I say the judge is biased because they had to put somebody in there that's going to support their agenda.
Mm.
I
I,
hit it. Awesome.
I don't, girl,
I know
listen.
you don't agree. I know you don't because you
I
believe in the
know. I well,
system.
no. Because I can't agree or disagree. Because here's the thing, that political game and that legal game, that they kind of intertwine. So and it's
Yes,
dirty.
they do. Amen.
It's
Amen. They
dirty.
do.
It's
Yes.
dirty. So
Yes,
I
they
tell
do.
you, yeah, it's dirty now.
Very dirty.
You see, you see, the fallout from, stuff happened when Trump was in there. You know what I'm saying?
There
So
you go.
all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I ain't gonna say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's
I mean it
crazy.
that's why I don't like politics. And when I look at this, I have to intertwine the legal with politics because, that's what it is. I mean, and people who aren't naive, they know that the prosecution and the defense team, they're one and the same. These people are friends. They know each other. They make deals under the table every single day in every single case. So why are we trying to sit up here and act like this is not a system that is being ran? And it comes down to you having enough money to make an effect in your particular case. I mean, what more do you want? But hey, that might be a little too deep for some people. But.
I get you. I get you. Let me see. What is this? A motion to dismiss. When the trial started in August of 21, right?
I think so. That sounds right.
Man, why?
I
And
got to
so
say hey to the chat. Hey, chat. Let me see
six
if I can see what y'all saying.
for rejected motion. It was a letter.
And I really want to know why these judges. Well, you saying that Ann Donnelly didn't think that. I really want to know why Living Weather would think that it's okay. Well, I mean, I guess it's the same argument that people come on here every day and give that they could watch the docu
I
live.
hear you, person. I'm coming back. Hold
Yeah.
on, hold on, hold on. Let me go around here. I'm coming. I'm hitting the button to come around. Oh, the perspective had dropped off. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was running my mouth. I didn't realize I was gone. Angie, you sound sleepy, and you said you was only coming on for a little while.
Girl, I did. You know what? I didn't go to jail. You know what
But you
happens?
was
I'm
coming
a
for me,
wild.
calling me stupid and an idiot, and I was like, oh hell no,
I
we
wasn't
not.
calling you that.
Shit, you
I
said if
was
you don't understand it and you responded, then you an idiot. I was like, oh no, 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 no.
I wouldn't know. I didn't call you that. And you know, I will at you and say, hey, yeah, I would have left it on the line. I told you that I was going to respond on the thing. I wasn't talking about you. You know, that be honest. Only thing I saw you said was you didn't answer my question. It wasn't a question anyway. You didn't answer my question as like, you know, answer it and so on and so forth. But I was saying you answered my question. You know, it's a rhetorical question. I didn't say anybody. You know, I would have asked you
So I
like,
wasn't answering the question. I was responding with my opinion on your, because to me, what you wrote was a statement. You basically said this is why she didn't do it, because it didn't go with the federal rule of evidence and it didn't go with the federal rule of appellant procedure. And so my response was I agreed with the girl that maybe she didn't put it because of she needed to put in other things that had more not priority. I'm not going to use priority. She put in other things that she thought would win her fight. And like SpongeBob said, because I can agree with what he said, she didn't think she could necessarily win that because you have to have things to back up your statements. And sometimes people can do things and it's evident, but you can't prove it. And I believe I seen Jennifer say this in an interview. She said judges do shit to her backhandedly and make comments, but you cannot necessarily prove it. And
right.
so some fights you cannot fight, but you can fight them other ways. And so
Right. You can't. Okay. So when I put on there, you know, about the FRE and the FRAP and SpongeBob put on there, you know, she couldn't make that argument based on the federal rules. FRE is the federal rules of evidence, meaning, and I tried, and I think I don't know. I think me, you know, I think I'm still. I think Levi and Scott is still stuck at that point where they don't understand that it's just certain arguments.
We understand, Angie. We just don't agree. You know,
Okay,
that
but
we
y'all be
understand though. We understand.
beating me up, and I didn't write the shit.
No,
That's why I refer you
but
to. That's why I would just say, okay, y'all ain't gonna never understand this until you understand FRE, FRCP, FRAP, you know, down the line. But as far as when it comes to the trial and what the judge is doing and what can be allowed and why this wasn't allowed and this is and whatever. Because when I tried and I thought I made it, you know, simple when we're talking about the three R's, at least when I introduced it that way, the people that was in here, you weren't in here then, Sky, but the people that started out understanding that they understood how to, because we did all kinds of exercise. sizes how how that applies to the evidence. That lets you know what's going to be at. It doesn't matter which judge it is. Now I'm saying this. I'm not saying that the system is always 100% correct. We know that it's not, because we see a lot of things get undone on appeal. We see a lot of things that happens, after a case is decided, or even during,
Oh, I just put up.
the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, if this was a perfect world, all right, the FRE and FRCP is going to admit the evidence that's admissible, and we know that testimony is evidence, and it's not going to allow the evidence that is inadmissible. And that doesn't matter which judge it is. So, and that also goes along with your defenses. Okay, so the prosecute when you get do you submit your motion in limine, right? Both sides get to submit them. Okay, both sides get to counter each other's. Okay, when you're submitting your motion in limine, you're the judge, and the other side, whichever side you're on, is actively, if you're the prosecutor, you're trying to shut down, some of the defenses, as well as preclude evidence. And if you are the defense, when it comes to the prosecution's motion in limine, you're trying to shut down a part of their case. You're trying to say, hey, that evidence does not is not relevant, relatable, reliable to the facts in the case or the elements. It's not. It's not. It's not. It doesn't prove it. So you go through that entire process. So if this was a perfect world, then it would function correctly. It doesn't matter which judge. So bias would not be a factor. However, okay, because you know the appeals based on judicial discretion, and which would include bias and things of that nature. If there wasn't a time that has happened, then it wouldn't be an argument. And you got to also understand that that also speaks to judicial errors as well. So appeals pretty much address errors. Okay, did what error happened? Okay, and did this error prevent the defendant from having a fair trial? Did this error, put the defendant in jeopardy in some kind of way? It's just a lot. Now for that, you do need an appellate attorney to address those issues when you start talking about FRAP. So when you get up there in the weeds with that, you do need a federal. I'm not federal, but you do need an appellate attorney that um
And let me
handles those matters. Huh?
because there's people in the chat that's slow talking about emotions and feelings, and this not emotions and feelings. Okay, I happen to be a person, and like I just explained to Angie, it's not that I don't understand, I don't agree, because I'm a logical and analytical person. Okay, so when you tell me that some testimony can be used to convict a person, however, that same testimony cannot be used to um what's the word I'm looking for? Exonerate him.
Uh
It's
huh.
illogical to me. But see, what I have to what I understand systems, I understand processes, I understand setups and schemes. Okay, from that's the top of the scale, scholar, all the way to the street. But it comes down to logic. It has nothing to do with emotions. So when people are trying to say keep your emotions and feelings out of this, it's not that. But see, I have to acknowledge and have to concede to the law is not logical. Okay, it has nothing to do with logic. It has nothing to do with analyzing anything. Okay, so with that being said, and for those of you who are smart enough to understand what I just said, then you understand. how I view things and how I process things.
But now, didn't she, in her brief, didn't she argue that some one of them laws was unconstitutional? Or am I just making that up?
She
Thought I
did.
saw that.
Remember which one? Wasn't it the one with the No, it wasn't. Was it the what you guys were saying with the old repeal law, or was something else?
Wasn't it that?
I thought it
Because
was
didn't
that.
she say? I think so. She said that she argued that it was unconstitutional. And see what I was getting at. Well, I'm not. Well, not, I wasn't getting at. Then I'm y'all know I'm about sleeping. What I'm getting at now. Let me say that. What I'm getting at now is that when you start talking about the Constitution and things of that nature, you're talking about mandatory law, right? And what I always like to look at when I see motions and what have you, I always like to see what are they using to support their claim because in the grand scheme of things, mandatory law must be followed. Okay. Then you got primary law. That primary law can be mandatory law, but it mainly deals with the application of the law in the courtroom, right? To use the right law then. Is it the rules and the regulations within the courtroom? Then you have a secondary law, which is your case laws and things of that nature, pretty much that explains or interprets mandatory law, right? That's a judge that has given his opinion. That means, he interpreted the law because the laws, most of them are written broadly. And therefore, you got to interpret it. When you interpret it, you create in case law. Okay. So if you, and I look and I see that you use a bunch of case laws and that's fine because that's what you're going to do. I, I, um, I was like, okay, well, I don't know how this is going to break because that case law isn't going to trump that mandatory law unless somebody gives a real good interpretation where it maybe they kind of try to say what the framers of that law meant, and are they in I'm getting down into the weeds because I'm going to get into I don't want to go there about the language of the law, but I'm not even going to that because I am sleepy and crazy. But what I'm saying is, when I look at emotions, I look for is there a remedy? Is there, and that's what you're supposed to have in there. But I look at what you're using to support your argument, where you get your case law from. Did it happen in circuit, in circuit court? Is it a Supreme Court ruling? All of that because one is going to be more favorable to the other. Okay, when the judge is looking at it. So I saw that J Bo she did use a lot of case law. A lot of it came from circuit court, which is fine. I'm not knocking case law. That's not what I'm doing. But when I see you talking about mandatory law, when I see somebody respond or I see somebody automatically use the Constitution. When you see them use the Constitution to support their argument, you want to try to pay attention as to how that particular ruling goes. Will the judge says, okay, will they side with, yeah, the Constitution was plainly stated. Okay, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And interpretation only serves as something that that can help a decision in some cases, but this law as it is written is plainly stated. Okay, so I look at that and I say, okay, well they probably gonna win this, They're probably gonna stick with that. Not to knock case law, because I'm about to say, oh, she's knocking case law and blah 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 blah. That's been used to 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 make a whole bunch of decisions and decide. And that's not what I'm doing. But I'm trying to tell you that when it comes to mandatory law versus case law, mandatory law usually wins out. So I don't. So when I'm just telling y'all ahead of time, when the prosecution respond, look to see if they're using are they using a lot of mandatory law, and then are they using a lot of case law? That way, and I don't know if a lot of people like me. I'm a type of person I like to know ahead of time. I don't want to sit right here biting my nails or I gotta wait. But I don't like to wait. I'm impatient. I want to kind of know, so I'm gonna dig in there to see what did they support their argument with. And when I see they use, the Constitution and reference those, different things like that, then I know, oh Lord, I
Now
don't
that
know how to, huh?
because I said that yesterday in regards to you have case law that supports all the arguments. So um like you're saying, but you have to look at, is it mandatory law? And you said it's another one. A secondary.
Mandatory law,
Did you say
it's
secondary?
primary law, and
Okay,
then
there's
it's secondary
secondary.
law.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that makes sense in regards to which case law is going to have a more of an effect than which one that they use. That makes sense.
Because see, that's what I'm looking at with regards to that RICO. Because with regards to that RICO, the the case law that she cites, right? Um, they always use those particular case laws and whatever. But is she going is will they come back and will the prosecutor come back and prove that R. Kelly is distinct from the RICO enterprise? So it's the and I know this wording sounds funny, but this is actually how it is worded. Is he the RICO person and the RICO enterprise? Jabo says he is. It's one and the same. But for the law to be with regards to RICO to be applicable and to be and say that this is an actual racketeering enterprise, right? They have to prove, and this is the prosecutor, they have to prove that it is separate. And the problem that he is the RICO person and the RICO enterprise is not one and the same. It's distinct from each other. Some have case laws that support that both entities function outside of the enterprise. Okay, I tried to see, my bills trying to get it in my head. Is that a case? Is that the situation? Do they function outside of one another? Meaning, um, or could they function outside one another? Meaning, do they do something independently outside of R. Kelly? Now, here's the thing: if you're saying that they're his employees or what have you, then they are doing something. Then you got the word associated in fact, right? They're doing something at the this is where the three B's come in. Because remember, I told y'all not and Karen is here, so she'll remember this. Not that far after I told y'all about the three R's, I told you about the three B's. Okay, then you can apply that not only to when it comes to RICO, but when it comes to like conspiracy and other charges like that, right? So, is it at the behest of, behalf of, and who benefits? Okay. So with RICO and the enterprise, the Supreme Court looks at who is benefiting. Okay, who was the benefactor? Okay, so can they show where this enterprise, this RICO enterprise that consists of the managers, the bus drivers, whatever they got in that in the indictment, associated in fact, that is also is in that indictment. Can they function outside of R. Kelly? And who is the benefactor of whatever the illegal or legal, um, functions, okay, of those people? Now, I thought, and I'm not just saying this because y'all up him, because I said it when I read it. I thought that she gave a pretty good explanation and a pretty good argument of why R. Kelly and the enterprise is one and the same. I thought her argument was sound, because with regards to the RICO, they also said that, how they do put it, you can't do business with yourself. They put it better than that, but you can't do business with yourself. So he allegedly has actions. He has a charged conduct that he benefited from. They have to prove that him and the enterprise are two separate entities. So, I think she gave a good argument, but I don't know, because it's so confusing, because we really don't know. And I wasn't in court, so I don't know what they said, but we really don't know what were all those people's duties. And see, and where a RICO charge has failed, when they're saying that he can't do business, when a defendant can't do business when they're with themselves. It has failed when the other entities were, like just say the security he ordered, he hired. Were those security people actually his employees, or was it an actual a security company? Was the bus driver, was he hired to drive the bus, or was he a part of a like a Greyhound or something like that? So did they have their own separate functions and what have you? So that is going to, you need to, and because the RICO also came with the stiffest penalty, you gotta have, I would really look at that if you're gonna jump to do anything, when you get the prosecutor's response, look and see how they address that RICO. How they make R. Kelly one and the same, or do they show where the bus drivers, the bus drivers, the managers, and all that stuff, do they operate separately? Can they function on their own, or is R. Kelly, I mean, is he the one that with the charge conduct and whatever? J Bo says he's one and the same. So, and I really liked her argument. So I don't know, and a lot of people that are against R. Kelly is saying that she made the same argument, and I think Keller said and it got denied, right? I think the argument, and I tried to tell him, I think the argument was a slightly different. Okay, I
Well,
think it
Keller
was.
is biased because he's one of those people that I was talking about in regards to you see that in a particular situation, the man didn't do what they stated that he did, and you
Mm-hmm.
still want to apply the full conviction. You don't want to throw the whole thing out because one thing is wrong. But if it was your behind sitting there, you would want either the charges to be lessened or for it to be thrown out. And that's what I'm saying. You cannot. That's just unethical. I don't.
And so and let me ask you this. So since in the RICO, some of those acts, with the like Act 2, 3, 4, whatever, some of those acts were the same as the counts, right? Remember they had man acts and stuff in the RICO and man act and stuff like that in the counts. Do you think, and I don't think no one thought about this, just say if they, because they get it, you can either overturn the whole thing or you can overturn um, some of the charges, right? Count 1 through 9. Okay. Do you think that the appeals court, if they look at the Mann Act that he got convicted of with just say I'm just pick faith because we already talked about Jangle number 5 with faith in that Mann Act, and they come, do you think they'll, if they say okay, they're not they're going to reverse, his guilty verdict with regards to faith and that Mann Act within the RICO, do you think they'll do the same? They'll look at her count where he's charged with this, say, count number 7 or something like that, and do you think they'll look at that and say, okay, they are going to undo that as well because they vacated it, and in her in the RICO, in the charges in the RICO, you think they'll do that in the regular count? You understand what I'm saying? Because you understand what I'm saying? Well, you
Yeah,
think they'll look at it like, okay, he didn't. When we're gonna say, this is hypothetical. We're gonna say that he didn't expose her to herpes there in that RICO. So during the count, like it's count 7 or something like that, we're gonna say he didn't expose her to herpes there either, thereby vacating both of those guilty convictions. Do you think that they would look at it like that because it's the same, pretty much the same charge conduct? It's just the dates are different when you look at the indictment.
I would.
See.
I would hope so, but I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell you how I see this thing because I don't know if you could see what I just typed, but I feel like um the goal is to bring R. Kelly down, and I don't believe in the justice system. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so with that being said, I feel like they will not give him a new trial, even though I'm praying for a new trial. I believe that they will just his lower his charges.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I totally agree, and everybody does not agree with me in regards to the with the juries watching the documentary and the effect that they had on the jury. Me and you even had differences on that. So that's not the popular argument. But to me, in order to get a new trial, now I don't know legally how it works, but to me, you gotta have something that's gonna contaminate that whole trial, and that's gonna have to be via that jury pool. I think anything else is just gonna lower his sentencing. I don't believe that's gonna kick off a new trial. But that's not my legal because I don't know the legal aspect of that. That's
Mm-hmm.
just my, how I look at it common sense wise. Because I feel like the jurors, by them having to deliberate the whole case, that should in turn kick off a whole new trial if they find some biases within the jury panel. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm looking at that right, but like you're saying, if there was something with the Mann Act, you would hope that they would say, okay, well, we're gonna also take that count off because it's they coincide with each other.
Yeah, that and that right there would be like huge because if you start to dismantle that RICO, and then they might look and say, well, hell, this is pretty much the same charge. The only thing off is the dates.
I don't think she has a win without dismantling that RICO, Angie, because that RICO, to my understanding, is the meat of it. Now, see, what I don't know is individually
Mhm.
what the Mann Act charge is alone without being in the RICO. I don't know what the charge for sexual exploitation is without being a RICO. I don't know those charges, but to me, if you don't dismantle that RICO, he's still gonna have a lot of time, you know,
Yeah.
that he's gonna have. I think you gotta come in, dismantle that RICO, or you gotta tap into that jury. You gotta one of those two things has to happen. Otherwise,
Mhm.
I don't see it.
But it could be, and see, the thing about it is, like, I think it would, I think they would just affirm, the lower court's decision. But you can, this lady got experience with this. you
Yeah,
know,
he
she
does,
got
but
experience with this.
this
And,
you had your point with the jury. I had my point. I mean, which one do the appellate courts agree with? Are they gonna be like that mess that don't have no effect on the jury? We just gotta see what they,
exactly.
you
She
know.
gave, she gave some strong points, but I'm about ready to get off here, y'all. But anyway, this live went from one way to another. It's always, y'all always create great lives for me, and I sure enough appreciate it. But understand that this was a rhetorical question to something Sky and Levi and whatever has said, and I have asked, nice, and I can't ask no other kind of way. That because we get into some heavy stuff over here, and
Yeah,
if
we
you cannot break it down what we're talking about, I don't know why you would talk about it because you don't even understand what we're talking about, and you just serving to confuse the masses. They ask you one question, and you're not gonna know exactly what the hell is going on. So that's what I was saying. Just people just don't even read my board, because I guarantee you ain't nothing on it. And especially if you one of the slow folks, ain't nothing on it you're gonna understand because I'm not gonna sit up here and write every question or make every statement in A B C D E F G form. I'm not in the little baby books. I'm not doing it. I'm not talking to people that read baby books. I'm talking to people that read goddamn full goddamn novels and
hmm
or teaching your
Chronicles.
kids how to read full novel. So I don't even know, dummy, trying to answer a goddamn rhetorical question. Meaning, I'm not even looking for the answer. I'm just I gave you the answer, and especially if you think FRE and FRAP are people, please, him.
Well, let me go down so you can finish. I just want to say this that please don't think that we don't understand. And I'm gonna speak for myself. I understand. I just one don't agree, and I don't uh I just don't agree. Damn it.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand you don't agree and whatever. It doesn't matter. And I'm not no type of person that says, "How dare you disagree with me?" No, Not, and I'm not talking about you. I don't want nobody to get that type of impression. No, it's like, and here's the thing. I done said, if you disagree with me,
And
I
it's
said,
not
I
with
went
you,
back
it's
to the
with the
thing. If
law.
we
Let me be
disagreeing,
specific.
huh?
I just disagree with the law because, and I have to
Right.
concede to the
No
fact that
problem,
it
shouting.
does not have to do with logic, and it has nothing to do with, analytics. So I will concede to that. But I'm gonna go ahead and hop down so you can do your summary. But shout out to everybody in chat. Thank you, Ange, for letting me come up.
No problem, girl. You know you were a damn wreck. Don't even try. If this, that's why I named it our channel. Okay, because it's our. Okay,
All right, I
so
get that.
and I was, and I talk in a way when I do those posts and stuff like that. I be talking to the people that know how I speak. So when I'm talking, I it's pretty much asking a rhetorical question, and I don't care about nobody disagreeing with what I say. I know when somebody's trying to be smart or whatever. So sometimes I'm gonna get with them. It's not that nobody can't disagree with me. Are you crazy? The disagreements with me is when we get the best answers out here. And there is somebody that will come through like a SpongeBob that will give you, the pretty much the same answer but in a different way. There are so many people that can give you the answer. Sometimes, like you heard JoJo the other night give you the answer in layman's term because he's thinking in layman's term. So he know how to convey it over to you. So there's a lot of y'all that provide great assistance with that, but we can't go back as far as saying it is like, okay, this is not a real question, but it is a question and it's posed to whoever, you know, knows what I'm trying to say. I was trying to say, why don't, why didn't J-Bo ask those questions? Why she didn't come up with that defense? Because of block 1, 2, and 3. That's it. That's all only thing I was talking about. I wasn't talking about no god darn there was no situation. I was just giving a darn answer. And a lot of times when people get frustrated, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the posters, the people that was posting the answers and stuff. Sometimes when people get frustrated, um, because they think, oh, I'm frustrated or think I'm trying to be smart or whatever, and they, go to something else. But I believe I know, who that was or whatever, because um, it just makes so much sense. But no, when I be talking, saying, questions that's not real questions or whatever, the people over here know that, y'all know how we get down. So, and that it's just having a conversation, talking about this because the thing had just happened. Ooh, child, y'all, I'm sleepy as hell. I'm just talking, honey. No wonder perspective on left, honey, because I'm just talking. I'm saying what I'm saying, but baby, I'm just talking crazy. I don't know if I'm coming or going, child. Hey, Cookie. Hey, Shorty. I got one eye open and one eye damn shut. I sound like some damn crazy person. Hey, SpongeBob. Um, hey, Karen J. Stephanie. Hey, girly. Hey, Damien 8778. Hey, Pumpkin. And hey, Perspective and Sky. Karen J. Yep, that's right, Karen. I like that. Hey, Courtney Love. Karen J said we spoke focus on the laws over here. Yes. 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 Hey. Hey, we do care. So I like when y'all jump out the bushes on me. Hey, Miss Bougie. Right, she will not make a like that. Um, Bunjin won't make arguments she knows aren't allowed by the federal rules. That's what some FRE. Um, and she doesn't want to be sanctioned. Right. Yeah, she got to. Rules have to be allowed and stuff. But mm, but yeah, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. But I hope y'all understand and get it. So I'm going to figure out something about because you got, and here's the thing, right? You got people that's not coming to either teach you a thing or two, and for us to learn a thing, or for us to teach, and they to learn, or they to give us a question that make you think, or to participate in a good way, you know, and not doing that. You know. So I just don't want nothing, no kind of confusion around here. Mhm. So, Lord, I'm just talking crazy. I am. Hey, Shaitan OG. Hey, Demetrius Bradley. What's good with it, Dana? Those are my words of slurring. Yeah, Dana, I'm sleepy as hell. But I want to um, make sure people understand that she could have asked, asked for leave to add to her brief, and she's already um, done that before. So, and here we are. But, okay, all right. So let me. I'm gonna get some sleep, y'all. I am talking crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. My Shot Town OG in the building. But y'all have to understand. completely appreciate y'all. I love y'all so much, and y'all are so much the reason why I come back and all that type of stuff, whatever. I think we got a good, like a good core group or whatever, and and I like checking in with y'all and spend time with y'all and talking about all kind of random stuff on that board. Um, and I like the people that pop in from time to time, and they're not messy. They do have they function with a level of understanding that, hey, that can definitely contribute. Like I've always said that I like perspective because I used to hear her answers and stuff like that, and she used to hit the link over there on Sylvia's or whatever. So I know she has a level of a level of understanding that can keep up what we're talking about. Sometimes if you know if I go over and listen to let's see, listen to the people that's going over the ABCs and the one, two, threes and shit like that. Um, I'm gonna be the smartest person in the room, but when I go and just say if she were, I just use for example. I'm not talking about in particular, but just say she, and when she returns back to Sylvia's, she's kind of behind now. She might have been advanced over there, learning her ABCs and one, two, threes, but by the time she get back to Sylvia's over there talking about um mm, she's over there talking about what's real evidence. No, I take it back, make it harder. She's over there talking about hearsay, exceptions and exclusions and shit. And now she needs Sylvia to slow down. What? Yeah. So, I don't know where I was going with that because I'm sleepy as hell. I'm sleepy as hell. Oh, no problem, no problem. My perspective. Honey, I am sleepy as hell. Dana, where you been? I'm fighting Mr. Sandman. I'm fighting somebody, y'all. Shit. I am looking crazy. So, anyway, y'all. I appreciate y'all so much because y'all, yeah, I like when I read the comments and stuff, I like to see somebody saying something that make me think or whatever. But when I saw that person comment, I was like, well, like, why you don't understand it? This ain't even a question. And anybody that was answering this and knows me, knows how familiar they're familiar. They know I'm not really asking a question. Like, so anyway, that's y'all. And I will see y'all when I see y'all. I appreciate y'all. All right. Good morning or good night. Bye, y'all.